Hello guys, this video is an overview of the new Ultimate Landscape plugin. In the Ultimate Landscape plugin, sculpting a landscape is divided into 3 automatic parts. Create your layers and generate a height map, and edit that using editing methods or adding a sublayer system. Create a modifier file to merge layers using different merge effects, then simulate erosion effect. And in the third and the last step, create a UE4 Landscape and apply the modifier on the landscape. You can delete these files after applying on your landscape. You don't need to package these files in your final project. Also, you can share the map files with anyone else without sending these height map files. Let's begin with the first step. To create a new layer, right-click in the Content browser, and from the Ultimate Landscape menu, select Layer. Now open the layer, and as you can see, a random Perlin height map has been generated by default. Layers are height maps generated by the noise settings you can find in the top right corner. If you're not familiar with the height maps, the fully black pixels are low areas in the landscape, such as valleys, and the fully white pixels are highs, such as mountains. There are 2 main buttons on the toolbar to compile your noise settings and export the height map as a file. The first option in the noise settings menu is the noise type, to generate the height map using different methods. The first option of the Perlin noise is the manual seed. Each time you press the compile button, you'll get a new noise, and a number in the manual seed will change. Once you've found a good looking noise, just enable the manual seed to prevent changing the base noise after updating the other settings. Also, you can manually enter any seed number into the field. The scale is for zooming in or out in the noise. By increasing the octaves, you'll get more depth in your noise. You have more control by using persistence and lacunarity to edit the height map. You can move your noise in the X or Y axis by changing the offset. If you change the noise type to Worley noise, as you can see, settings have been changed. The manual seed and the offset options are the same as before, but the sections is to change the areas count or high points, and the closest point changes the target point for each pixel to blend. 0 means the closest high point. The height map noise type is one of the great features of this project. It allows you to sculpt your landscape manually, then import that inside the Ultimate Landscape plugin again for more editing, or you can import height maps from other applications or even real places from Google Earth. Your height map must be a 16-bit grayscale PNG file, which is the same as the default UE4 Landscape export settings. The checker and cylinder are 2 other options to generate simple noises you may need. The rest of the options in the layer editor are the same for all noise types. By editing the minimum and maximum height option, you can limit the height map range. Another great feature in the Ultimate Landscape plugin is you can divide a layer into more sublayers, or even you can use a curve to have more control over generating height map. The draw type option allows you to render a preview in color mode to show the sublayers you've added. To add more layers, click on the plus button, then you can define a name, set the scale, height range, preview color, and a curve to modify values in this layer range if you need. To see how it works, please click on the View options, then enable Show Plugin Content. Now go to UL Data, and then in the Map 3 folder, open the Layer 3_1. As you can see, there's 8 sublayers in this layer file. The first sublayer modifies values from 0 to 0.09. The next sublayer modifies values from 0.09 to 0.22, and so on. If you change the draw type, you'll see how layers look because of the color option. Also, if you open one of the curves, you can see how you must set up the curves to edit the height map. Also, please make sure to set the start from 0, 0 and end in 1, 1. To disable a layer, just write the layer name in the text fields of the filter layer. There are some options to more edits of the height map, such as invert, brightness, contrast, and multiplier. The smooth option allows you to smooth your layer. The iteration is the running count of the smooth function, and the size is the actual brush size. The resolution option is important. Please keep in mind, as you increase the resolution, you'll need more times to generate. Also, please make sure the resolution is always smaller or equal to the target modifier resolution. On the top left corner menu, you can enable stats to see noise generate functions time in milliseconds. If you enable the Store Raw Data, first of all, the size of the file will go up as raw data will be stored in the file, but there's no generate time for the height map, and in the very high resolution height map, you can store some RAM. If you want to share the layer map, to reduce the size, disable the option, and you'll get a file in the size of a few kilobytes. As this plugin generates the preview texture manually, sometimes you may experience crashes in the high resolution regarding the UE4 limits in generating dynamic textures. You can easily turn off the preview to prevent engine crashes. Once you've set up your layers, it's time to create the modifier. To create a modifier, right-click in the Content browser, and from the Ultimate Landscape menu, select Landscape Modifier. To generate a height map, you can use the Compile button, and to add a new layer, use the Add Layer button. Add Erosion is a magic button and makes your landscape look natural by simulating the raining effect. You can export the height map as a file similar to the layers, but in the modifier. You can also export the erosion effect to use a material mask. I'll show you how to do that. On the top right corner, you can see the Layers menu. To rename the layer, just double-click on the layer name. To reorder the layers, you can use the arrow buttons, and also you can remove a layer using this last button. To select a layer, you can find the layer from the list or click on the layer in the Content browser and then use the arrow button. As you can see after compiling, you can see the layer info as well as a preview from the layer. There are so many blending options in the Type menu, and you can make different effects. The last and very important option is Weight to change the opacity of the layer in the final height map. Please always make sure to save your layers and modifiers, then they can communicate with each other and you'll get the updates from layers in the modifiers if you change any settings in the layer. To make the landscape look natural, you can add erosion to the height map. First, enable the erosion, and then add a new setting. You can add several settings, and they'll run one by one. The iterations is the running count. The speed of the simulation depends on your computer speed, but more iterations need more time to calculate. I would like to suggest you enable this option in the last step to have a quick layer blending. In the erosion settings, you can change the random seed for each of the erosion settings to simulate water drops in different locations. By reducing the deposit speed and erode speed, you'll get deeper paths. I'll show you how the other options work in the next videos. The rest of the menus are the same as the layer editor, but resolution is very important in the modifiers, and it must be the same as the target landscape overall resolution. Now if I add a smaller layer into this modifier, to edit a layer, you can activate Layer by double-clicking on the preview, then you'll see a red box around the selected layer at actual size. Now click on the main preview window and you can move the layer using arrows on your keyboard, and then apply the offset by pressing Enter on your keyboard. Also, from the offset menu on the top left corner, you can apply or reset the offset. To change the moving speed, you can change snap size. As you can see, the new layer is in the center and the edges are very hard. To fade edges, open the Tools menu and select a fade type. Now from the Fade Amount menu, you can change the fading values to blend the layer's edges nicely. As you can see, there's also a Crop menu in the Tools menu to crop a part of the layer if you don't need it. Both the Crop and the Fade menus have two types of circle and box. After finish editing, you can deselect the layer by double-clicking on the Layer Preview window. Before going to the last step and applying the modifier on the landscape, this is a good time to use the magic button Add Erosion. Then we apply the erosion settings on the height map. Also, you can add erosion multiple times. When your modifier is ready, the last step is to apply that on the landscape. To create a landscape, go to the Landscape menu, set both X and Y in overall resolution, same as the modifier resolution, and Create. Now open the Ultimate Landscape from the toolbar and select the modifier. First select the landscape from the level editor, click on the Sculpt Landscape button. Now you can scale down or up the landscape to find a good looking landscape scale. If you need to sculpt the landscape manually, after sculpting, you can export the landscape back to the Ultimate Landscape for more editing height map using the plugin again. Just go to the Landscape tab, then right-click on the height map, and select the Export to File button. Now create a new layer and select the height map as noise type, then import your file into the layer again. Now you can use this layer in any modifier again. To apply a mask on your landscape, you can export the height map or the erosion mask. In this case, I'll export the erosion mask. Select your material for the landscape. Go to the Landscape menu, and from the Paint tab, create a new layer info. Now right-click and select Import from File. As you can see, the effect is not showing very well. Let me import the mask and then edit while you're watching the last part of the video. And thanks for watching this video. In the next videos, you'll see how to set up and sculpt landscapes from scratch. Also, please like and share this video and send your landscape screenshots, and we will share them in the next videos.